start with some questions, so whenever you guys are ready, go ahead.
I guess obviously 2 days off, a double bye is good for rest, but in terms of the rust factor and how much do you...
Yeah, I don't think it's really rust. It's it's just more the anticipation of and excitement to play. I think the 9:30 part is the part that's maybe a little more challenging. Is you'd much rather wake up and play, or certainly play a little earlier. And I do think it helps sometimes the teams that have already played in there and have some good feeling after playing well and winning. It's more maybe that than it is just that it's your first game in that environment, but not really rust from not playing for a couple days, because I don't think that's not that big a deal.
You faced any of the 3 teams you could have played on Thursday night. You've been in this position before, but it is kind of weird, I guess, not knowing who you're playing.
Yeah, it's obviously it's hard. Like, right, yesterday we had practice. Obviously we 85% of it was just working on us, and then trying to maybe guard a couple things that we think we could potentially have to deal with. And then today, now it's you got 50% Syracuse, 50% SMU, so you're kind of trying to do 1 or 2 things to just so tomorrow's not your only day to do it. Obviously as coaches, we all creatures of habit, and we want to be prepared. So that's the more challenging part, is you want to feel like your team's prepared and you're doing your job, and it's a little bit more challenging because you don't know exactly who it is that you're preparing for. But it's as much of anything as trying to get your guys in a good frame of mind, which our guys should be, and just excited and playing sharply and with great energy and poise. So hopefully we'll do that.
Health-wise, how are you?
Good. Yeah, health-wise we're good. Knock wood. Need to get through another practice, but everybody's fine. And I mean, there's the normal knick-knack stuff, but nothing significant.
The efficiency on offense, you've usually been a pretty efficient program, but this year the low turnover games you've had, and you have a lot of experienced guys, but they didn't start playing with each other till last summer. But
Yeah.
Something about what you're watching on film offensively that's as beautiful as you've ever seen it executed. Is there something specifically that maybe you guys did in that regard?
I think just having, especially, having 4 or 5 guys that can make a play for you, and being able to maybe make adjustments within games or prepare for games in anticipation of how somebody may guard you, because you have some older guys and you have multiple weapons. I think certainly makes it more challenging for opponents, and having older guys that are unselfish and share the ball, and a bunch of different guys that can score, whether it's from the 3 or maybe at the basket, makes us a little bit tougher matchup that way. I don't know that it's a lot different. We certainly have a few more maybe weapons or guys that can do a few different things than maybe in some years past. Last year's team was pretty gifted as well.
Coach, what are the most important qualities when you guys are playing against somebody who's already been in the tournament, experienced that intensity, to come in first game and match that?
Yeah, I think that's that's the part that your guys got to get their engine revved up and like ready to go. And the other team has already kind of done that. You don't want to just like, let's feel out how the game goes. You all of a sudden can look up and you're down, and now you're playing from a position of weakness, and you're in catch-up mode a little bit, and just things can accelerate if you're not careful. Tournament games do feel a little bit different. Even, when we're in those neutral site tournament games, they feel a little different in terms of, it feels like a tournament. You're trying to advance, and you want to, try to win a championship, and you want to do all these great things, but you got to really focus on each possession and just, not get ahead of yourself. And, so I do think that makes it a little bit different than just like a regular season game.
You made the deep run last year. You couldn't have known going into the ACC Tournament how it would play out, but do you have everything goes as it should, that this has that similar kind of makeup on your roster?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Do we have the talent and the experience to make a deep run in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament? I think we do, but we have to play very well. I mean, we need some good things to happen for us too. I mean, it's a combination, but we certainly have the tools and the pieces and the experience to make that happen. Yeah.
I guess, we talked about with Ian, just kind of him being in the training room as much as practicing. Is that still the case for him?
He's better. No, he's better than he was. There was a point in the year there for, I don't know, it felt like a month to 6 weeks where his back was really bothering him. And I think you could just see it in some of his play. He was laboring in a couple games. He's better now. I don't know if he's 100%. You'd have to talk to him about that, how he feels every day. But, there was a noticeable difference the last couple of weeks, I think, just in how he finished some games and finished plays around the basket and got up and down and just wasn't grimacing or mumbling things under his breath, in timeouts and huddles and, when he was frustrated or upset or, just in a little bit of pain.
You talked about him being kind of like that Jock Miller guy joke on the back of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did he handle that while he's going through some of the...
Yeah, I think that's part of, that's just who he is, he's not as big a talker with me as some of the other older players I've had in the last several years, because I don't know why, but he's not a quiet guy. He's not a, he's a fun-loving guy in terms of like at practice. When he was a younger guy, he was a little shy for a while, but that's part of how he's come out of it, and I think that's just his natural personality. Dylan's a little like that, and those two guys, have fun together. And I don't want to say they're the class clowns because there's somewhat of a negative connotation to that. But they try to keep the guys loose. I think they enjoy, picking at each other. They enjoy, celebrating in the back of the bus or the plane when we're winning and having a good time. And I think they're just guys that sometimes help keep things light, which you need.
He's able to do that even though he was hurt.
Yeah, no, he's not a woe's me guy very often. Like if he's in that spot, then I'm probably going to talk to him because I'm going to check on him to see, are you okay? Because he's not like that. I mean, that's not who he is day to day, and that's what I mean. Like he's, Chase too. Like as long as those guys have been here, that they don't miss a lot of practices. Ian's missed some practices this year, but when there's something that really needs to be done, Ian's going to do it. Like he's not going to try to get out of doing anything. That's just not who he is. Like that's part of why he's a competitor, and like he wanted to win the strongman contest, right? Like, I mean, that was important to him that I'm winning that this year, and it's like he used to battle with PJ but that's what I mean. Like he wants to win when it comes to keeping score, and that's why he's a good player, and that's, we'll miss that from him a lot just because he brings an element of competitive spirit to your team that is really important.
Chase is obviously having a great year, but last couple of weeks, the numbers scoring-wise, he's done a million things you don't see. But I mean, is he pressing at all?
Excuse me, I don't know if he's pressing. I think there have been a couple games where people have tried to take him out more. And, when that's happened, I feel like it's made our other guys better because it just opens up so much more space to get the ball inside or somebody, Jay-Z, to drive or, other guys just to make plays. And I think Chase has done a good job of, not forcing it too often. I mean, I do want him to stay aggressive and try to make plays, but at the same time, when you're being guarded that way, you're just not going to have as many touches. And so I do think that's happened a couple times. He's had a couple games where he just hasn't shot quite as well. I'm not worried.
This time of the year, your coaches always talk about how, you got your marquee guys, but it's usually that
Yeah, I do believe in that, especially like in tournament play. When you're playing games in consecutive days, and there's going to be it's PJ Hall got in foul trouble in the NCAA tournament a lot, and obviously our bench guys came in and really helped us. And if they don't play that way, we don't win. Now, that's just part of tournament basketball. It's the hard thing about a one game shot is a guy has a bad shooting night, a guy gets in foul trouble. They got somebody on their side that goes crazy and has a great night. That's one of the great things about basketball. It's also one of the horrific things about basketball. But I do think so. Then there are going to be times when you need some guys that maybe aren't your all conference players to step up and make a couple big plays for sure.
Coach, with Chase, going to be done, and Ian, you said a couple times now how much you're going to miss him in particular. What's the feeling like for you, knowing you look out on senior night, there's like 8 guys getting honored, that this is the last go round with a bunch of people.
I mean, it's obviously the first thing is you're proud of them because of all that they've accomplished and all that how they've grown in your program, and you're also grateful that you got to spend that much time with them because that's not the norm anymore. And then it's at the end of the day, the other thing is like let's make the most of the time we have left, right? Let's really try to enjoy that and not take any of it for granted. And I think sometimes those are the kind of conversations you have to have for your team, like throughout the course of these seasons. They get long, but guys need to be reminded, there's 32 days left. There's 22 practices, and, there's only probably 10 that are like real practices. And it's like, and so you're doing that with your guys sometimes consistently through the end of the, last 6 weeks of the season to remind them it's going to be different now. Like some of the things that you don't think are as big a deal. And, I tease them all the time, like, hey guys, like, there's a meal waiting for you upstairs after practice. Like, that's not real life. Like, you're going to, maybe, and you're going to eat together. And like, you don't even do that in the NBA. Right. And then overseas, there's not going to be a meal waiting for you. And, when you're a head coach at Clemson, there's not always a meal waiting for you when you get home. Like, I love my wife dearly, but like, I don't think every husband goes home and like there's a meal waiting for them. Like, it's not the norm. And so there's little things you take for granted that are done for you, and your life is really, really good. And I know there's an element of work and there's an element of normalcy to all of it. You can take things for granted, and to make sure that you're constantly reminding of your guys to be appreciative of what they have, whether it's the things they're given, the opportunity they have to play, what we have time left. Like, I think all those things are really important, and that's part of your messaging to your team throughout the course of your season, and certainly this time of year as well.
My impression is hearing you talk after games this year, some of your comments say that maybe this is a team that doesn't take things for granted. Is this about as cohesive?
Yeah, I do think that's part of why this team has been really good. I've talked about it openly that Jaden and Victor, especially, even Miles, all three of those guys, they want to go to the tournament. Like, there was high motivation to, like, that's why one of the reasons why they chose us is they looked at our team and like, hey, these guys had great success last year. They got some good players coming back. I want to come be a part of that because I want to have an opportunity to go to the tournament. I want to experience that. So there's a sense of urgency from them, and there's an understanding and appreciation of what it takes to try to do that, and the amount of work and sacrifice that you've got to give to make that even a possibility. And then as you're doing it, it's pretty rewarding to watch it all come to fruition. And then I think you saw on senior night from the emotion of some of those guys how appreciative they are of really this year, what this year has really meant to them. And they'll be talking about this one with their kids when they're 40 years old, and so that part's really cool. And to talk to them about it like that, I think that's something that you always hope for, but you never know it's going to take place.
I think after the end of the season of last season, you spoke about the ACC Tournament potentially winning a championship, I guess. If you guys are able to win one this year, what would it mean to you as a coach?
Yeah, I don't go there right now. It's too much. Obviously, it would be a big deal. We haven't done it at Clemson. I haven't had a lot of success in this tournament. But as much as all that is great, what it would mean to my players, what it would mean to our fans, like that's, I'm very cognizant of that. But like, we just need to win the first game. Like, let's just win the first game. Be ready and prepared, try to play well the first night.
Coach, speaking of the personalities on the team, with this road trip coming up, you guys getting to spend a lot of time together. Is there somebody in particular who you like hanging out with on the road or on the bus, or that's particularly, connected with you?
No, there's not. I'm not hanging out with the players during these trips a lot. We mess around and goof around at times, but I think these trips are more business than people would realize. It's, as a staff, we're meeting and watching film and in our meeting room a lot. We're down there at 6:30 a.m. And spending a ton of time trying to put the last pieces together and decide what are the right clips to show our team. And the players are either working, resting, getting treatment. Sometimes they're with a position coach watching film. There's just, and sometimes they're taking a nap. With a 9:30 game, they'll be taking a nap. And so that you need to kind of, it's not as social as probably people think it is. It's funny. It's social when you're on the bus a little bit. It's social a little bit when you're on an airplane. It's social when you're waiting for things. But the other part is pretty routine and structured.
Talk about appreciation. I know after the game on Saturday, you were saying, not every coach gets this much time to build their program.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's such a rare thing, and why do you think you're able to get that?
I think one of the reasons why I was able to get it here is, is number one, we do things the right way. And there was an appreciation for that from our administration, because back in that time of year, or those years, not everybody was. And we treated our players right. We graduated our players. I think we raised a lot of money. We were good ambassadors for the university. We were, worked well with all the other coaches and administrators and everybody from compliance to admissions to, I think we just had a professional way about going about our business, that we were respected, hopefully the media. And so then, there are times when it, gets dicey, and maybe you get one more year and people see that hey, I really do think if given the right resources and given time that our coaching staff can get this done. And, I'm hopeful that that's what it was. I think that's what it was. And I'm certainly grateful for that.
Throughout the process, were there assurances you're good, or were there times 15 years where you're wondering
you're always wondering. It's not unlimited. It's it's about performance. It certainly is about performance and what they see of your product. And again, certainly a lot of it is the winning on the court, but the other things do matter. And to me, they matter a lot. Is how we're thought of, how we're respected. Are we doing things the right way? Are we helping raise good young men? Are we holding them accountable to standards, and are they growing? And if those things are happening and we end up not winning enough games and I get fired, I'll probably be okay. I don't want the other thing. I don't want to be. I'll feel disappointed in myself and my staff if we don't do the other things right. That's on me then, completely. So I do think we've done a good job of that.
Forward, big picture, I'm sure you haven't given this much thought, but your name has come up in the Indiana
Yeah.
search. You've done any comment? Just wanna-
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about potential jobs. I have a great job, and I'm 100% focused on this team and what we've got ahead of us, and trying to do everything I can to help us continue to win the next game.
But you can't avoid it in this day and age where, and again, anyone can throw any name out there.
Yeah.
There's gotta be, is there a weird factor there, just seeing your name?
No, you're grateful that, that you're doing good things, right? That's what's going to happen if you're doing the right things and you're winning enough games. So, I've never been a self-promoter, and that's partly because how much I really like Clemson. Obviously I sent both daughters here, and I've been here 15 years. So, I think this place is really a special place, and I'm proud of what we've built.
I'll have time for a couple more.
For the, you got the NCAA chance to spring, the transfer portal window
Yeah.
for this upcoming season, I guess. How's it kind of impacted you and your staff's preparation?
Yeah, it hasn't yet, but this is when it gets dicey, right? Like we actually had a staff meeting on it yesterday or the day before. I can't even remember. They're all running together a little bit on just like, how are we going to manage it here the next, couple of weeks, because there's things going on, and obviously there are teams being eliminated. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes right now that you can't control. As a staff, we just got to do the best job we can of being ready. The whole new rev share model and what that's going to look like, and trying to have conversations with the administration about that to be organized. This year is even probably more difficult than any of the other years just because of that, and the uncertainty that's 100% passing. And I know the judge is ruling on it, I guess, on April 7th. So there's a lot going on.
You say dicey, maybe it goes year to year, but managing who might leave or
All of
who
it.
might bring in,
All of it.
'cause you gotta fit spots.
Yeah, all of it. You can't predict, because of the money now, there's more other, it's not just about are you doing a good job with a kid and are you helping them do well in school? Are you helping them become a better person? How many minutes they're getting? Then at the end of the day, the last question is, well, how much is he worth? Like, what are we paying? Right? And is there somebody out there that's going to pay more? And so those are, it sort of devalues some of the first things in some of our minds. But yeah, that's part of all of this.
And you one of your guys at least is focused totally on player personnel now, right?
Yes.
One of them,
Yeah.
that's-
Lucas pretty much is, that's his job.
Any more questions for Coach?
Okay. Thanks, everybody.